We begin in the occupied West Bank, where an Israeli drone strike has killed at least 5 Palestinians in Tubas in the second week of a major military assault. The Palestine Red Crescent Society says another person, a teenager, was shot and killed at close range. Israeli forces, accompanied by armoured vehicles and drones, have laid siege to Palestinian cities and refugee camps for more than a week now. Medical teams say they've recovered the body of the Palestinian teenager shot during that raid on Al-Fa'ar refugee camp near Tubas. Several explosions have been reported. Israeli forces have also targeted the city of Tulkarem, where bulldozers have been digging up roads and destroying infrastructure. There are reports of exchanges of fire between soldiers and Palestinian fighters. And the Israeli army has extended its assault on the Jenin refugee camp after an order from the defence minister. It's killed at least 39 Palestinians in the occupied West Bank in 9 days. Israel says it's targeting Palestinians it believes were involved in attacks against Israeli civilians. Well, for more on all of this, Nida Ibrahim joins us from Nablus in the occupied West Bank. And first of all, Nida, can you just bring us up to date with that drone strike in Tubas?
Yes, this drone strike killed 5 Palestinians and injured 4 others. One of them is in a critical condition. Now, one of those who have been killed in this airstrike was considered the previous leader of the Al-Aqsa brigades in Jenin. He is the son of Zakaria Zbedi, a prominent Palestinian prisoner who was one of 6 Palestinian prisoners who managed to flee one Israeli prison in 2021. He's well known here amongst Palestinians as he was one of the fighters, Zakaria, in the 2002 Palestinian Intifada, which involved the Israeli forces cracking down on the Jenin refugee camp and causing a massacre there, according to what locals have been saying and the documentations that came from the camp at this time. Now, in Al-Fara'a, which is very close to Tubas, where the Israeli airstrike has hit, a 17-year-old was killed, but he was shot through the leg first, and then locals say that the Israeli forces came closer to him and shot him again as he was not able to move. This raises the total of Palestinians killed during this major Israeli assault, the largest Israeli raid to the occupied West Bank in more than 2 decades, to 39 Palestinians. But this also comes at a time where Palestinians have been seeing a lot of airstrikes happening before this Israeli assault. And we are continuing to talk about the destruction to the infrastructure, not just in Jenin, where the Israeli forces are still there for the 9th day, but also in Tulkarem, where in the 2 refugee camps, in the Nur Shams and the Tulkarem refugee camps, residents are talking about major damage to the infrastructure, to their homes, to their lives, reminding them that Israel will raid these villages and towns and refugee camps whenever it sees fit. And they say that it continues to do so because it's acting with a lot of impunity.
Nida, thanks so much for bringing us up to date there on the brutality that is occurring in the occupied West Bank. Nida Ibrahim for us in Nablus. Well, joining me now is Tamar Mahmoud. He's Associate Professor of Public Policy at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. Thanks again for being with us here. 6 more Palestinians killed in the last few hours in Tubas. Much of Jenin destroyed after the defence minister, Israel's defence minister, has extended the assault there. I mean, it really is hard to overstate the intensity and ferocity of this military operation now, isn't it?
Indeed, Tom. And the reasons behind this that Israel really feels empowered and emboldened to do this, because it has been doing this in Gaza. And basically what's doing now, it's importing the same tactics, genocidal war tactics it has been using in Gaza, and doing it in the West Bank to crush the Palestinian resistance, to crush the Palestinian liberation aspirations, and most importantly, to collectively punish the Palestinian society. Because even if you assume that Israelis are going after a couple of Palestinian resistance fighters, regardless who they belong to, there is no excuse whatsoever to go on this vicious destruction, targeting facilities, infrastructure, and collectively punishing and displacing an entire community living in a refugee camp or in a town or a city. And this brings us back to the mindset and agenda of this Israeli government. It is pure displacement and settlement expansion and continuing expanding the borders of Israel to take more and more land and eventually swallow the entire West Bank, And that's strategically what they have been talking about in public, including ministers in the Netanyahu government, the Likud doctrine in the Israeli government. I mean, these are all not hidden agenda anymore. They talk about it in public and they do it.
Well, we saw Netanyahu once again double down and use a map that doesn't show the occupied West Bank at all when he was speaking to foreign journalists. He's really trying to sell this to the international community, isn't he?
I mean, for him and his cabinet and his government, it's like a deal done. Like, take it or leave it. The West Bank is ours. That's how they're acting in international politics and on the ground by doing what they're doing now, these crimes. And that's sad. I mean, again, because we hear, the highest diplomat in the EU, condemning Israel and asking it to stop this. And then you hear the American diplomats saying, well, we're still committed to the two-state solution. What two-state solutions? I mean, eventually there will be nothing to negotiate on. And again, this exposes the hypocrisy of the international community and especially key allies for Israel. Because so far, they're saying what needs to be said, but there's zero action on Israel. Israel does not feel any pressure on the international arena. No sanctions, no condemnation, real condemnation. So it's impugn, literally. It's a state above international law because it has this cozy protection provided by its key ally, especially the US. So they will keep doing whatever they're doing because no one is there to stop them. But will this lead to achieving Israel's goal? I doubt it because, there is nowhere for Palestinians to go. I mean, even if they're forced to go. Let's remind the viewers that Israel has already signed peace treaties with Jordan, with Egypt. These borders are sealed. So what's their goal? And where is the Israeli society going with this warmongering attitude and strategy towards Palestinians? The shortest cut to end this is peace, and they know this. But this psychology and this feeling of superiority, and they can afford doing what they're doing to the Palestinians, and the protection they receive from their key allies are the only factors that enable them to continue what they're doing.
You've obviously talking there a lot about the international community and the lack of action, but what exactly should or could they be doing right now to make sure that the occupied West Bank territories don't actually, eventuate into what we've seen happen in Gaza? Because many of the same tactics that Israel is using in Gaza, they're now using in the occupied West Bank. So what can or what should the international community, the likes of the US, the EU and the Gulf states actually do right now?
The South Africa model. I mean, the only way apartheid ended in South Africa when the regime in South Africa started feeling the heat of sanctions and international isolation. So Israelis are not there at all. All the doors are open to them. The Israeli citizens themselves have to feel the pressure. I mean, start with the simplest thing, visa bans on Israelis, then economic sanctions, then trade sanctions, and etc. If the international community is keen to preserve international law and want the rest of the globe to believe that there is a just and fair international system, this only lasting occupation in Palestine has to end. And they have to end this misery. And I mean, it's a scandal for the international community that this occupation is still lasting till now. So the only way the Israelis will react to pressure through sanctions. But if there are no sanctions, I mean, why would they react to pressure? I mean, it's for them business as normal. We continue killing and destroying and doing business with Europe, traveling to Europe with Americans. The entire world is open for us. So why would they change behavior and discourse?
We'll have to leave it there, but Tamer, we really do appreciate you breaking it all down for us. Tamer Kamut there for us.
My pleasure.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.